Welcome, everyone, and thank you for attending this year's Thomas S. Green Award Ceremony. My name is Karen Duffy, and I'm the chairman of the 2011 Awards Committee. As many of you know, I have very big shoes to fill. Dee Moskos has led this committee and this ceremony for many years. I'll try my best to run a smooth and timely program as he's done in the past. I'd like to thank Assumption College for once again providing this lovely venue for our event tonight, and invite President Francesco Cesareo to the podium to say a few words.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. It's a pleasure to welcome you here. You know, sometimes in these positions you have one of those days where you wish you could bilocate. Well, today I wish I could trilocate, as I ran from one meeting downtown to this, and then I have to run to a meeting in Boston. So I'm very sorry that I won't be here for the reception afterwards. But it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 22nd Annual Thomas S. Green Awards. Assumption looks forward each year to hosting this event because we have had a very strong relationship with the Worcester Regional Research Bureau from its beginning, from its inception. And I'd like to recognize Roberta Schaefer for her work with the Research Bureau and for the valuable contribution she and her staff make to this city and to this region through the work of the Research Bureau. I'd like to also welcome today to the campus the members of the families and friends of those recipients of today's awards, their colleagues as well. It's a pleasure to have you here, as well as our municipal and elected officials, most particularly our mayor, Joseph O'Brien, our city manager, Michael O'Brien, school committeeman, John Manfredo, and the superintendent of the Worcester Public Schools, Dr. Melinda Boone. We welcome you here to our campus. It's fitting for us to host these awards and to honor the recipients of the Thomas S. Green Awards on a college campus because education is about excellence and our continual efforts to become better, to excel in new ways. And how does that happen? By doing ordinary things in extraordinary ways. Excellence means doing common, everyday tasks in very uncommon ways without seeking recognition. It means being better tomorrow than we were yesterday or today. And the individuals that we are honoring and recognizing today with this award, Louise Clark, John Mahan, and Ronald Brown, each of these individuals embody that quest for excellence, embody that approach to doing things better, to going the extra mile. And these individuals have, in their own way, excelled. They have done their tasks, they have performed their responsibilities, and they have served this community selflessly, offering their assistance to their fellow employees and to the citizens of this city. They have asked more of themselves than others have asked of them. And so these individuals have given fully of themselves. They've given their whole heart to the task that they have had before them. And because of that, we in this community are better for what they have done and for their contributions. And so I congratulate our recipients today. I congratulate you for all that you have done, for all that you represent in this community, and I congratulate you for all that you will continue to do in this community because that's who you are. You do not rest on your laurels, but you constantly strive to be better and to contribute and to serve. And we are grateful to you for that. So thank you for being models of our community. Thank you for being here at Assumption College today. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cesareo. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce City Manager Michael O'Brien to say a few words, but having been to many meetings where the manager speaks, I won't hold him to it.
Thank you, Karen. It's a pleasure to be here. On that quip you made, I was just out in Boston. I've had some trouble with my vocal cords, and the specialist said, Mike, I think the bottom line is you just have to stop talking. And I said, who in Worcester put you up to saying that today? But thank you, Karen, and good evening to you all. I had the pleasure of starting with the city back in 1994 in an entry-level position, through to today, serving now as a city manager for some 7 years. And I've gained unique perspective and insights into what's happening each and every day in all levels of government, the dedicated employees that are out there doing the work each and every day throughout our city. There's the highest levels of integrity and honesty that are taking place, and the real desire to do a great job, to help and assist, and to make a difference. And you can witness it yourselves if you take the time. 7 inches of snow we had in some 45 days, and DPW was there to answer the call. Deep cuts we've had in our staff. No second team, as Commissioner Mahan would say, to take over for those that have been out for 12 to 16 hours with new forces that are rested and ready for the job. Instead, it's just long hours and hard work. Nearly 500 miles of city streets and that were cleared and passable and safe within 24 hours. Mayor Bloomberg in New York promised he'd have those streets cleared in 5 days. It just gives you some perspective of who we have working for us day in, day out. I know Commissioner Mullen's here. I also know Pete Palladino, the Director of Streets, is here. Pete, if you would stand. Any other people from DPW here that could stand up? How about a round of applause? It's incredible work, and it's in the middle of the night under horrible conditions, and at times with some of what the worst Mother Nature will throw at us, or other difficult conditions under extreme pressure, like our public safety personnel with their lives on the line, doing more with less, thinking outside the box, and finding solutions to seemingly impossible challenges. And when they're doing this work, they're not thinking about awards or recognitions. It's pride in the work that they do, and it's for service to the public. City government continues to change dramatically. I think all of us are following along with the changes. We've had to reorganize, we've had to reduce, reform, redeploy, realign. We've had to bring on new technology to make up the difference in staff that we've lost, and we've continued to find new ways of doing business, all to adapt to a difficult economy and a changing world around us. And we've gone from an organization just back in 2001 of nearly 1,900 to next year we may just be 1,300 employees. And time and again, these dedicated employees that we're so grateful and graced to have rise to the challenge, doing more with less, and finding new ideas and new solutions to ever-pressing problems, to serve our citizens, meet expectations, and preserve and protect our quality of life, which is so important for a city like ours. I want to thank the Research Bureau. I want to thank Roberta and her staff, Jeannie, Laura, and Stephen, as well as the members of the Greens Awards Committee, as well as the vision and memory of Dr. Green. That we all take a moment out of our very busy lives once a year to thank and recognize and applaud those employees who embody the spirit I detailed earlier, that lead by example and set a tone that we all follow, and that I and so many of us take away from them as role models. Tonight's honorees share qualities that embodies the Thomas S. Green Award: leadership, a positive work ethic, enthusiasm, and a willingness to go above and beyond the scope of their job description to better serve our public and community. The awardees, through your job duties, though your job duties are diverse in nature, from graffiti control to support of our classrooms, from administrative to public safety, each of you brings a shared trait to the workplace each and every day. That is your commitment to assist the public in the best possible way and to do it with patience and a kind word. You are exceptional public employees. John Mahan, 33-year veteran of the Worcester Police Department, stress officer to our PD officers, as well as liaison officer to the Worcester Public Schools. John has helped his fellow officers through difficult times to cope with what can be very challenging circumstances. He has the great respect and trust of all. He uses those same listening and reasoning skills to teach our Worcester Public School children alternative ways to solve conflict or address problems. He's a true leader within the department, and his skills, abilities, experience, and personality come together in sync to serve in such a vital role for which we're all very grateful. Louise Clark, grant writer and development specialist with our Worcester Public Schools, vice president of Worcester Education and Development Foundation, Louise has distinguished herself as someone who works selflessly to raise funds and implement programs that best serve the needs of our city students. She's been willing time and time and again to go the extra mile to make a positive difference in our city schools, and our city schools are absolutely vital to the future of our entire community. And to Ron Brown, I can honestly say there are a few that work harder than Ron to keep Worcester clean. 16-year veteran of DPW Street Operations Division and head of the city's graffiti removal task force. And I think this is the first task force of one that I have within my organization. He's the heart and soul and muscle of that task force. He's an expert. He knows gang tagging from just general graffiti artist work. He's a combination of a graffiti whisperer and somebody on CSI. Because I've seen him in action. He knows where the vandals will strike before the vandals themselves know where they're going to be. And he's literally standing there with PD and the paint to paint over their vandalism. And he's also a natural on a radio show. For anybody else that has a radio show in the program, he's ready to come on and do a tremendous job. But he's a pro, and I want to thank him as well for his work. And I'm grateful for all the hard work and efforts of those 3 city employees. They assist me and all of us every day to better serve our residents of the city, and I'm proud to have them on my team. We ask a lot of our employees, especially these days, tighter budgets, less resources, more demands. But it's individuals like these who step up to the plate each and every time, working smarter and harder to get the job done, and that will help our community get through this recession, flourish and thrive. So on behalf of the city and its residents, I want to thank you for your service. Once again, congratulate you on your well-deserved award. We all need role models in today's world, and all 3 of you are deserving individuals that fit that bill. I commend each and every one of you for a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager O'Brien. Next, we have as our speaker, Worcester Public Schools Superintendent, Dr. Melinda Bone.
Good afternoon. I am honored to be able to stand today to address 3 outstanding citizens of our community and to spend a little more time with one of them than the others. But you know, as I read the profiles of all 3 recipients, each one of these individuals touch the lives of the Worcester Public Schools and our students on a regular basis. So thank you for caring about our community's most precious citizens. For Ron Brown, we know about the issues. We're very close with DPW. And while you all do graffiti watch, tonight we're on that nasty 4-letter word watch. So DPW represents a set of really good friends for us and to us, and we have a very close and very solid working relationship with DPW in the city, with City Manager O'Brien and others. It's very important that we have those relationships because it takes all of us to have a healthy city. When I think about John Mahan and the work that he's doing and has done at Worcester Technical High School, again, touching the lives of so many on a regular basis. And it's funny, I always want to say his name is Mahan because my home church in Virginia is First Baptist Church, Mahan Street. And so every time I see your name, I have to remember Mahan. But in the South, it's Mahan. So, but thank you for all of your years of service to the community, to the city, and especially to the students in Worcester Public Schools. You know, having a safe, secure, welcoming school environment is critical to overall success. And so we congratulate both you and Ron today for your success. But I have also the unique opportunity and special opportunity to talk about one of Worcester Public Schools' finest, and one that's near and dear to my heart and to the work that we do. I remember when I first entered into Worcester Public Schools doing transition visits, and Dr. Deirdre Laughlin here, who was so gracious in my transition to the Worcester Public Schools. And we talked about this special person in grants, but it was a little while before I met this special person in grants. And the interesting thing is when I met her, I didn't realize who I had met until later, because Louise Clark has such a quiet demeanor, But what we all remember on a daily basis is the wonderful smile that she exudes. It says so much about who Louise is, the woman, and her character. You know, these are difficult times for public sector and private sector work. And as City Manager O'Brien indicated, you know, we're all having to do more with less. And that's been the case in education for a little while. You know, for the last 10 years, we've seen declining budgets. And when we talk about the foundation budget gets us to a point, but there's a lot more that we need. And because of the expertise and the talent and the skills of Louise Clark, Worcester Public Schools has been the beneficiary of many millions of dollars in added support to help us address professional development need, training, as well as activities for all of our students. This is huge for us, and it's something that we don't take lightly because, again, the gap continues to widen between where we are and what our student needs are in order to prepare a 21st century well-educated student to compete within a global environment, a global society, and to be able to keep this community healthy and viable, and for our graduates to contribute to the economic development of this community. But Louise's experiences within the public schools just tell one portion of the story. The rest of the story is about her time, her life in the private sector that allowed her to bring some skills to the Worcester Public Schools. Her work with the Worcester Education Alliance and other areas really gave us a leg up in having Louise on our team. But even the private sector community hasn't been enough to tell the story of Louise Clark. She's a very, very active volunteer in this community. So with all of the work that we have her doing within Worcester Public Schools and supporting very well as Vice President of Worcester Education Development Foundation and helping that entity strengthen its fundraising opportunities for the Worcester Public Schools, she then finds time to volunteer with Girls Inc., Culture Leap, and just to name a few. So today, Louise Clark, on behalf of the school committee, Mayor Joseph O'Brien, our chairman, and all employed and serving Worcester Public Schools and all of our students, we say thank you for doing an excellent job, for finding your passion in helping us find additional resources to deliver so well on the outstanding education opportunity. Congratulations and thank you.
What we've got tonight is we have Mayor Joseph O'Brien, and I would like to invite him to the podium to present each recipient with the keys to the city.
Good evening. It's truly an honor and a privilege to be here to represent our city's elected officials, to offer congratulations and thanks to three really remarkable public servants, John Mahan, Louise Clark, and Ronald Brown. As you know, these last number of years have been very difficult times to be in public service. That's why Mike O'Brien's hair is just beginning to turn just a little bit gray there, but he's doing great. But as you know, it's really been a challenging time, and that's first, here in the Worcester because we face great budget challenges, and all our employees in our schools and our police department, our public works, have been working hard, doing more with less. At the same time, it hasn't been the most popular place to be a public official, perhaps with some of our talk show hosts and others. But we all know that clearly it is our public employees that make Worcester a remarkable place to live and work. And we are so incredibly grateful for the work that they are doing. And clearly it's an honor and a privilege to be the mayor of a city that has such remarkable employees. I know others are going to say a great deal about these remarkable recipients tonight, so I have the role to make a small presentation to them. But just real quickly, I want to say a couple quick things about John, Louise, and Ron. I had the privilege of working with John in my role previously with Congressman McGovern, now as mayor, and he is just a remarkable human being who is really doing incredible things to help the men and women of our police department, as well as our young students up at the technical high school. As you talk to people in the police department, they talk about the remarkable work he's doing to help support families who face great stresses and great challenges in the role in serving in the public safety role that they do. And we're incredibly grateful for the work that he does every day to really help those families and individuals and to help our young people. So thank you to John. I also want to thank Louise, as the superintendent said so well. Louise has really been doing a remarkable job in these difficult economic times. She has been out there working hard to secure millions of dollars of desperately needed money that help our city schools stay competitive and continue to offer remarkable programs and services to our kids thanks to her efforts. So we're really grateful for that. And I also had the pleasure of being on the school committee when she helped to spearhead the effort around the WEDF, the Worcester Educational Development Foundation. She really was the driving force behind that. A lot of other people took some bows for it, but she was really a driver on that. So thank you for the remarkable work you've done. And finally, Ron, who's just a terrific guy. And I often see Ron out in the neighborhoods doing his work, addressing graffiti, and he wears a lot of different hats when he's not out taking graffiti. He's filling potholes or doing neighborhood cleanups. We see him on Earth Day. We see him all over the city. He really is just a remarkable guy who's really helping to continue to make sure our neighborhoods are incredible and highly livable places. So it is my privilege to make a small presentation to each of them on behalf of our city's elected officials. Each one is a little key to the city. People often ask, of course, what does the key open? Some want to know if it opens the treasury. And I said, unfortunately, no. But actually, these days, as the manager will tell you, it's a little bare these days anyway, so you probably couldn't get a great deal. But it really is a small token of appreciation on behalf of the city family to recognize the remarkable contributions that they have made. So it is a great privilege to present these keys to John Mahan first. John, thank you so much. The second key to the city is presented to Ronald Brown. Thanks, Ronald. And finally, the last is to our great Worcester Public School leader, Louise Clark. Louise.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge some other special guests who are here with us tonight. To ensure that I don't overlook anyone who may have come in late, I'd like to thank, as a group, the state and local legislators and government officials who are here. Could you please raise a hand or stand? Thank you. I think we have a lot of shy people in the room. Unfortunately, I don't see Sandy Dunn, our chairman of the board of the Research Bureau, but we'd like to thank Sandy for all her hard work. And finally, if we have any past Green Awards recipients, and I know we do, in the room, please ask you to stand and be recognized. Who would think? Less shy than the legislators. Okay. Finally, let me introduce this year's TS Green Awards Committee. Besides myself, we have Barbara Clifford, Corridor 9 Chamber of Commerce, J. Michael Grennan, Grimes and Company, Leah Lamson, Telegram and Gazette, Joanne O'Leary, NSTAR, Karen Luddington, Children's Friend, Kevin O'Sullivan, Massachusetts Biomedical Initiatives, Roberta Schaefer, the Research Bureau, Hank Stoltz, WCRN Radio, Wake Up Worcester, Richard Foote, Bowditch and Dewey, Bob Kennedy, Mechanics Hall, and Todd Rodman, Sater and Chandler. Could we give them a hand, please? Thank you. For our sponsors tonight who have contributed to our program and/or the generous gift bags provided to each recipient, we thank the following: Assumption College, Saint-Gobain, Bay State Savings Bank, Music Worcester, DCU Center, Scharfman's, Beechwood Hotel, Worcester Telegram and Gazette, and specifically Chris Christos, T&G Photo Editor, Sole Proprietor, NSTAR Gas and Electric, Worcester Sharks, Worcester Tornadoes, Worcester Credit Union, Hilton Garden Inn Worcester, Checkerboard Limited, Arthur and Micah Chase, Mechanics Hall, Hanover Theater, Worcester Art Museum, Ecotarium, Worcester Historical Museum, and Tower Hill Botanical Garden. And in each recipient's gift bag, they will also find citations from both the Massachusetts Senate and House of Representatives. So I'd like to thank Senator Harriet Chandler and Representative John Mahoney for providing those. Can we have a hand for the sponsors? Of course, we are grateful that the City of Worcester Government Channel, under the direction of Judy Warren, is videotaping our ceremony tonight. This event will be rebroadcast on Worcester Government Channel 12 and other local municipal government channels, and will also be available to view on the City of Worcester's website. To begin our presentations, I invite Barbara Clifford to introduce our first recipient.
Thank you very much. It's good to see everyone here tonight. For the last several years, I've been very fortunate to serve on the board of the Research Bureau and also lucky to be able to present one of the Thomas S. Green Awards. This is really a very rewarding process because those of us that serve on this committee, we really get to learn about and to discuss the many unsung heroes who support our region in so many incredible ways. So each year, when the Thomas S. Green Committee begins to meet, and that's many months prior to tonight, each of us sees that within this infrastructure of city government is an amazing core of very talented and committed public servants who really take great pride in their work, and they really make our lives, all of us, a little bit richer through their dedication and commitment to their work. So in the winter of 2011, the leaders of the municipality of Worcester submitted many very worthy nominees to be considered for this prestigious public service award. And as our committee met and discussed the attributes and accomplishments of the numerous nominees, we always get to really see the cream rise to the top, as it always does in cases of recognizing excellence. So it's such an honor to be part of this program tonight, and this program really shines the spotlight on these individuals who perform their work with diligence, integrity, and joy. So tonight, I have the pleasure of honoring a very special person. You've already heard a little bit about her. Some of the things you're probably gonna have to hear again, Louise. Her name is Louise Clark, and she is a grant writer and development specialist for the Worcester Public Schools and has been for the last 12 years. So according to Paula Harity, a colleague of Ms. Clark's who actually nominated Louise, she said, during this period, Louise has been an integral part of a team that has been instrumental in building the grants office into a system that brings in millions of dollars through competitive grants from federal, state, and private organizations. Louise works tirelessly with the district staff and the community at large to promote partnerships with the schools for the true purpose of increasing student achievement and really promoting the high expectations for the students and for the staff. So I would say, especially during these extremely challenging economic times, I think we really all can imagine how critical Louise and her team's work is to the growth and development of our students in the city of Worcester. So to the credit of Louise and the team, during the last 5 years, new funds for the Worcester Public Schools have included sources such as the National Endowment for Humanities, U.S. Department of Education, the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, the Massachusetts Attorney General's Office, the Lowe's Corporation, the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and the Dewing Foundation. All of these achievements mentioned today are only really part of the story of Louise Clark. There are dozens of organizations and community venues, way too long to list here today, that Louise has been part of, and they have had a positive impact on our city. However, I'd like to share one of the important roles of Louise's career, and that is 6 years ago, as mentioned, Ms. Clark co-founded and became the vice president of the Worcester Educational Development Foundation, Inc. And basically, it's a nonprofit arm of the Worcester Public Schools, and it procures support from private sources to meet the many additional needs in the district. The work of the WEDF has resulted in $2.4 million investment dollars that poured into, and these are just some of the projects, the renovation of the Commerce Bank Field at Foley Stadium, the acquisition and repair of musical instruments, the purchase of art supplies, and also the implementation of a mini-grant program for teachers. When I met with Louise in her office on a pouring rainy day, in early March, I was really impressed, and Dr. Boone said a little bit of this about Louise. I was so impressed by her quiet and calm way of sharing with me what was really important to her about her work. Her focus in that meeting that day was always about the team of collaborators that she works with. It was never about what she as an individual has been able to accomplish during her career. So that morning, I got some good insight, and I learned about Louise the person, the wife, the mother, the grandmother, the woman who loves music. She loves a good sense of humor. She loves her 2 collies, and she likes and loves really her summer visits to a very small town named Denmark in Maine, which is really, I know from firsthand experience, it's really a low-key, quiet Maine town. So she loves that too. And lastly, before we invite Louise to come up and accept this award, I'd like to say that I know, in addition to all of your colleagues, that you have your family here in the audience tonight, who you told me a little bit about as well. So we know that your husband Jeff is here, and your children Erica and John, and 2 of your grandchildren, Odin and Finn. And they also, in addition to your colleagues, they are also very, very proud of you tonight as well. So it's a great honor to present a Thomas S. Green Public Service Award to Louise Clark, WPS Grant Writer and Development Specialist Extraordinaire.
Thank you, Barbara, for your kind words, and thank you, Dr. Boone and Mayor O'Brien and Manager O'Brien as well. Many thanks go to the Research Bureau for this great recognition, and I want to also thank Paula Harity for nominating me. I stand here grateful for the support of a close and loving family, warm and generous friends who make me laugh and sometimes cry, and bright and dedicated colleagues in the Worcester Public Schools, the Worcester Educational Development Foundation, and the community. Thank you all for taking the time to be here today. Throughout my life, I have been fortunate to have access to many great opportunities. I was also mentored by some wonderful people, including Tom Green and his wife, Khaki. One of my mentors, Helen Bowditch, who was an ardent supporter of public education here in Worcester, once said upon receiving an award, "It's really something when you are honored for doing what it is you love to do." I echo those words tonight. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Louise. I'd like to invite Hank Stoltz up to introduce the next recipient.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming, especially as we get ready for another wonderful spring New England evening that is on the way. John Moylan ducks out early. I guess we'll know the reason why. My name is Hank Stoltz, and it is my pleasure this evening to introduce and tell you a little bit about one of Worcester's finest, John Mahan. 33 years with the Worcester Police Department, and the first Thomas S. Green Award recipient to be nominated by 2 prestigious individuals. Worcester Police Chief Gary Jem and the principal of the technical school, Sheila Harity. I believe that is what Charlie Sheen refers to as by winning. Now, John has an office at the Worcester Police Department, but he's rarely there because his job keeps him out on the road. You see, Officer Mahan is the one that the others turn to when they need help to deal with the stress of the job. I mean, imagine being a police officer. It's a stressful job to begin with. You can read in your program some of the things, of course, that they have to go through. But you throw in on top of that all the pressures that we all deal with day to day. Spouse, mortgage, spouse, bills, spouse. And then, as the city manager alluded to, imagine picking up the paper one day and reading about impending layoffs. What? These are the kinds of things that can certainly add to the stress of your job and that you don't want to bring to the workplace. And this is what I mean by John not being in his office all the time, because he's meeting in private, in confidence, acting as a release valve for people on the Worcester Police Department and beyond as well, steering them to where they can find help if and when they need it, even into things such as estate planning or financial planning. He's been really with the stress unit from the beginning. In those years, and in all these years, gaining the trust and respect of the men and women who, because of their work, do not have an easy time to open up. Listen, we live in a society in which everybody wants to go on Jerry Springer and tell you all of our deepest, darkest secrets. But imagine being in the police department where, you don't want people to know about some of the stresses that you are facing. And I suspect that the police department remains a place where there is still that respect for one's privacy. Now, under John and others' leadership, the stress unit has expanded beyond the walls of headquarters and the police department into the county, and it includes services for immediate family members, one-stop shopping, to make sure that people who serve us, who we may not always treat the way that they deserve to be, receive the services that they need. Now, I was lucky enough earlier this week to get a tour of police headquarters from John, and when I talked about trust a little earlier, well, we stopped into every department, from the motor pool to CSI, sorry about that test tube, to the gym. And John knew everyone's name. Everyone's. The secretaries, the officers, the custodians, whoever it was. And John greeted each and every one of them, and they all had a warm greeting, or more often a joke for John as well. Now, I talked a little while ago about trust, and I can keep a secret as well. And after all, who really knows who released those birds in the chief's office? Hasn't the statute of limitations probably run out on that anyway? And who among us has not brought home a pet pig that at one point we then had to put into a witness relocation program, shall we call it? Most of us have gone through that, John, so we understand. I can keep a secret. It's those who work with you who had a hard time doing the same. But suffice to say that after 33 years on the force, John's seen it all, and most of it, and a lot of it, has not been pretty. We began down in lockup, looked remarkably as I remembered it from 30 years ago. And this brings us to another part of John's life's work. It's not about filling up those cells. It's about keeping them empty, about preventing kids from making the wrong decisions, giving them a chance, and John has done that as school liaison officer. And just a couple of quick stories to illustrate this that John shared with me. One is, and working with kids from all different economic backgrounds, those who are developmentally disabled, all these different kids that John works with. So one time, he's going to give the kids a little bit of culture, right? He's going to bring these kids down to Old Sturbridge Village. So he brings them down to Old Sturbridge Village in the bus. And all of a sudden, he hears some hooting and some hollering and some laughter. Maybe they're having a little bit too good of a time underneath one of the covered bridges at Old Sturbridge Village. So he goes in. Well, it turns out the kids had gone in right after the oxen wagon had gone in. And right after the oxen had left a little something in the middle of the bridge. And so John discovered this scene in which the kids were in there and had discovered that if you stepped on it in just the right way, boy, you could splash your buddy way down towards the end of the bridge. And as John said to me, that was a long bus ride home. I want to tell you about one other event, and this is an event, John for many years would put on these mock trials every years that the kids would really get into, and the kids loved them because, you got to be the prosecutor, the kids got to be the prosecutor, or the jury. Every kid wanted to be the judge. And this one particular year, John arranged an all-day event, but this actually took the kids all year to be able to put this together. It was a year in the making. Fatal Reality. That was the name of it that the kids put together. Got a couple of totaled cars. Put them out in the school parking lot. So now you have the kids, they're involved in this accident. Some of the kids made up as if they had been in that crash. He arranged for the fire department to come, just as they would to a crash scene. The ambulance shows up, the police department shows up on the scene, all true to life. And here's where I thought it got really interesting about this. Because this wasn't just one of those things that you see, around prom time. One of the students role plays the driver who caused the accident. On go the cuffs behind him. Now the kids know that they're playing parts, but think about that when you start to see that scene in front of you. I mean, wouldn't that give you pause? So the day unfolds, now you have the trial. Again, the kids are the jury, they're the defense, they're the prosecutor, the accused, the judge, and the kid who caused it is found guilty. Now just think about that as a preventive measure. Now, we'll never know if any of the kids involved in that exercise would have ever gotten into trouble. We'll never know for sure that their involvement will have kept them out of trouble. But I've got to believe that at some point, someone made the right decision because what they had been through and thought to themselves and what they had learned through John. That they didn't want to cause this accident, and they're on the straight and narrow because of that, or because, and this will be the last thing, because of John's mediation program. Now, here's a novel idea. Get a couple of kids who have a problem, put them in a room. John's there too. He's called up their parents, he's invited their parents there, and he's given the parent one instruction. You don't get to talk. The kids get to talk in that mediation room. And lo and behold, more times than not, the truth comes out, the situation is resolved. Now, I don't know how you measure the impact that any of us have in the world around us, but today, I get to introduce one of our everyday heroes. A man who, after 33 years, still loves just getting up in the morning and going to work, who likes the people that he works with. And I know that you're going to kill me because you talked mostly about those people, and here I've been talking mostly about you. People who just go about doing their job and won't, like yourself, take credit for themselves. A man who will tell you that he's just doing his job, who told me that he was humbled that Chief Gem and Principal Harity had nominated him and that the Green Awards Committee was honoring him. Well, John, I am here to tell you that it is we who are humbled and honored to present you with the Thomas S. Green Award.
I don't know anything about the birds and nothing about the pigs. Chief Gardella here. I want you to know Mike Lavin in the corner is the one that got the birds and brought them up to Chief Leahy's office. Thank you, Hank, for that invitation. Thank you. I'd like to congratulate the other recipients, Louise and Ron. I'm truly honored and humbled to be nominated for the Thomas S. Green Award, both by the Chief of Police, Gary Gem, and by Worcester Technical Principal Sheila Harity. I want to thank Dr. Roberta Schaefer and her staff and her board for the region for accepting my nomination. I want to thank Chief Gem for having the confidence in me and the trust in my judgment to do my job, and I believe in the success of the Worcester Police Stress Program is due to the confidentiality that he affords the particular unit. I also need to thank Principal Sheila Harity for allowing me the privilege and the pleasure of working both with the students and the staff of the Worcester Technical High School. They hold a very special place in my heart. My life would not be complete without the love and support of my family. My wife, Mary, my daughter, Erin, my son, John, and his wife, Sarah, and my two beautiful granddaughters, Samantha and Molly. I would also like to thank the rest of my family and friends for being here and sharing the night with me tonight, and I thank you for this honor, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
Good afternoon, or almost good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Mayor, it's so nice to be here. I love doing this every year. It's a pure pleasure for me because I believe that our public employees are tremendously underappreciated. My best friend is a public employee, and when I ask her to do things, and she says she can't because she has to work that weekend, I wonder how many of the people she's serving ever have any idea that she's missing out on pieces of life because she's choosing to do extra in her job, just like the people we are here to honor tonight, and in particular, the gentleman I am here to present to you. I'm here to introduce a really great guy who's also a really special public employee. Commissioner Moylan said in nominating Ron Brown, I could not be more proud of the fact that he is an employee of this department. I came to understand why, and am honored to have been asked to present Ron with this award today. Why? Because Ron is what every employee, public or private, should be: dedicated to his job and willing to go well beyond what's expected of him. He takes ownership of his responsibilities. Ron is a working foreman in the Worcester Department of Public Works. He knows how to rake asphalt. Okay, now I'll tell you the one weird thing I learned about Ron in my time with him. He likes the smell of asphalt. Can't explain that. He's a snow inspector with responsibility for 35 miles of side streets and supervision of 21 plowing contractors. And you know that's a thankless job. But most of all, Ron leads the city's battle against graffiti, those ugly spray paintings that deface buildings and bridges and playgrounds and utility boxes, that make you feel creepy in otherwise beautiful parks, that drag neighborhoods down. He applied for the job because he said, "I like to be out working. This is not a man who sits still." But it's no longer a job for him, it's a mission. What's wonderful about Ron is that he has come to care passionately about making Worcester look good. He's a Worcesterite born and bred and is proud of this city. I had the privilege and pleasure of spending time with Ron as he drove around the city searching for graffiti. And it was clear that he takes it personally when someone messes up one of our neighborhoods. As Commissioner Moylan said on the nomination form, Ron could do this job by being reactive, by responding to complaints, responding promptly. Everybody would think he was doing an adequate job. But that wouldn't be Ron. He drives around looking for the graffiti, talking with owners of buildings that have been tagged, and following the trails of taggers whose ugly work he has come to know, and he can identify them from a distance. Over and over, he talked to me about the importance of removing graffiti that could be seen from Route 290. He wants Worcester to make a really good first impression. It's not always safe work, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Ron has sometimes had to call in police protection when removing gang tags, but he's never turned a blind eye to the tags that might get him hurt. Believe it or not, excuse me, Ron gives out his private cell phone number to Worcester citizens who are concerned about graffiti. Just think about that, his private number. And they use it. They call him long after he's left work to report new tags in their neighborhoods. I think I really got how dedicated Ron is to his mission when at one point in my ride with him, he pointed to a large spray-painted tag and he said, "I don't want that here." And he wasn't going to let it stay there. There's more to Ron than graffiti, of course. He has a lovely wife, Tracy, whom I had the privilege of meeting, and he's very proud of their two sons, whom he describes as scholars and athletes. I'm sure they are just as proud of him, and so they should be. Ron gives back to our community on his own time in another way also, as a member of the Fraternal Order of Eagles, helping to raise money for Friendly House and for victims of local house fires and other good works. So I am very proud and privileged today to present the 2011 Thomas S. Green Award to Ronald K. Brown.
Thank you, Karen. It's an honor and a privilege to accept this prestigious award on behalf of the Department of Public Works. I'd like to start by saying thank you to my director, Pete Paldino, who gave me the opportunity to be employed by the DPW for the last 17 years. When this job was posted, I knew it would be a challenging position, but I strongly felt I would have a huge impact on our city. I was interested in the job and up to the challenge, and I appreciate you getting it for me. I'd also like to thank my nuisance team, James Kempton, Dan Cahill, Matt Lucier, and Mike Paradise for working so closely with me to ensure the city is and will continue to be the cleanest city in the Commonwealth. I'd like recognition and many thanks go to the Commissioner Bob Moylan, City Manager Mike O'Brien for implementing Keep Worcester Clean. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for their hard work on this program. It has been a wonderful success, and I will make sure that it stays this way. I am especially grateful to Commissioner Bob Moylan for nominating me, and also to the Research Bureau Committee for selecting me. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ron. I'd like to thank our presenters tonight for their time and their efforts in making this program a success. And let me add my congratulations once again to each one of our 2011 Thomas S. Green Award recipients. They continue the tradition of excellence in public service. To end our ceremony tonight, we have a special presentation, and for that I will welcome President and CEO of the Research Bureau, Dr. Roberta Schaefer, to the podium.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome, and I'm really pleased to see such a large crowd here. On occasion, the Research Bureau chooses to single out someone else for special recognition, and today is one of those days, and the person that we would like to recognize is Gail Nygrosh. I'd like to tell you a little something about Gail, whom I've known for more than 20 years now. In 1989, the Massachusetts Department of Education required the Worcester Public Schools to update its voluntary desegregation plan by adopting a, quote, controlled choice plan, which included a mixture of voluntary integration and mandated student assignments in exchange for 90% state reimbursement for new school buildings and renovations. The Research Bureau suggested that to encourage as much voluntary integration as possible, the Worcester Public Schools should work with the city's colleges and other institutions, such as the American Antiquarian Society, the Ecotarium, and the Worcester Art Museum, to develop programs taking advantage of each institution's expertise that would draw students to magnet schools voluntarily, even if that meant traveling beyond the neighborhood school. The Research Bureau believed then, and still does, that collaborative efforts between the Worcester Public Schools and the colleges and other institutions provide the Worcester Public Schools with a unique dimension not found in communities lacking those resources. In 1990, Dr. Gail Nygrosh was appointed by the Worcester Public Schools superintendent to the position of development specialist for higher education partnerships. For the past 20 years, Gail has poured her heart, soul, and intellect into working with college faculty, administrators, and directors of a multitude of other institutions to establish partnerships to benefit the children of Worcester. A few of the most significant ones she has developed since her appointment include the following: the Worcester Pipeline Collaborative, which is a partnership between the Worcester Public Schools, Quinsigamond Community College, UMass Medical School, Assumption College, the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, and Worcester State University. The purpose is to develop a pipeline for the health sciences for students in the North Quadrant and the Worcester Technical High School. It seeks to increase the number of minority and other disadvantaged students entering careers in healthcare and biomedical research. Another one was the Humanities Scholars Collaborative, which offers highly motivated students from 11 Central Massachusetts high schools a year-long program structured around a theme in American history and American culture. During the academic year, students spend a day on each of several different college campuses, hearing professors address the chosen theme from their different humanities disciplines. The year concludes with an evening of presentations by the participating students related to the theme. The dual enrollment program is another program which enables developed by the Gale, which enables gifted high school students to enroll in courses at Worcester area colleges for which they can receive high school and often college credit. These are only a few of the many programs Gale has developed and monitored over the past 20 years in collaboration with colleges of the Worcester Consortium, area colleges, and other institutions. As one of her colleagues noted, Gale has been a true mainstay, in a sense, a linchpin, in terms of making significant connections between the colleges and the Worcester Public Schools. I can't say enough about Gail's contribution to educational opportunity in Worcester. She's a tireless advocate for all students and a wonderful colleague and friend. For all her hard work that have benefited countless Worcester students, the Research Bureau would like to take this opportunity to recognize and thank Dr. Gail Nygrosh.
Congratulations, Dr. Nygrosh. I'd like to thank everyone in attendance tonight, and I'll invite you to join us across the hall for some refreshments. That's it for our program. Thank you and good evening.